Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Premiership Podcast. I'm Elijah, and I'm joined by
Jakob.
yeah. All right, and let's dig right into it. Plenty of games to talk about. A lot of big round of upsets of round 20. Looking at round 21, power rankings, all the good stuff. So let's get a quick move on into the recap of round 20. We'll start with the big Friday night game. Collingwood Carlton MCG 86,000 I think it was. It was a ripper too. Just a shame Collingwood couldn't hang in there in that last term. Your thoughts on this one?
I feel like Collingwood were outplayed in this game. The amount of improvement Carlton have shown in the past 6 weeks compared to 6 weeks prior is very significant, and they do now pose a threat for finals.
Yeah, they do definitely. And they're sitting in that top 8 right now. 7th.
Seventh.
7th and a game out as well. So I guess game in. So not too bad. Charlie Curnow was the man of the match. 6 goals. He had a ripping game down forward. Darcy Moore couldn't touch him. I mean, looking at last week against West Coast, he kicked 10. But against Oscar Allen and Brad Hoff or Hugh, I mean, you look at that. Okay, they're not that established defenders. You probably would be more likely to kick big bags of goals against them. But this is against Darcy Moore, one of the better defenders as far as we're concerned in the league. So he had a ripping game. Jeremy Howe in that last term as well. He had ended up with 3. He was outstanding. Jack Martin, honestly, if it wasn't for Curnow kicking 6, he would have probably been my player for this game as well. A lot of guys from Carlton really stepping up to the plate and, just proving I think Carlton can probably push for finals this year. That's probably reflected in our power rankings as well.
It's pretty shocking to see the rise of Carlton compared to where they were 6 years ago, with all their fans saying how much of a disappointment the club is, and just to turn around to just be a powerhouse that we expected them to be at the start of the year is quite pleasing to see. However, I am quite disappointed at Carlton fans due to the fact that they were so unloyal 6 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden they're like the most loyal fans in the world. So that's one thing that I dislike, but that's not to dampen the fact that Carlton are playing really good football, and they've bet the top 2 sides in Port Adelaide and Collingwood. So yeah, another reminder that Jamie Elliott probably took Mark of the Year in this game as well.
Yeah,
Jamie Elliott's mark was really good. And they really played to Nick Dacos's weaknesses. I feel he had times where he could have attacked the ball a lot more ferociously, put his body on the line, because when it comes finals time, you need to put your body on the line to ultimately get that big Premiership Cup. And I reckon Nick Dacos and the rest of the club will bounce back this week against the Hawks. As much as we would love the Hawks to win, we expect Collingwood to bounce back. And do remember that they've got still side bottom Ash Johnson still to come back into the side as well. Yeah. So it's a good learning curve for the players, isn't it?
It is. You take some, you lose some. Close game against Port, I think the week prior, and now it almost looks like it's going to be in Collingwood's favour this one, but they just coughed it up. Plenty to work off of. But yeah, Nick Dacos just couldn't get any value. Just all of the Carlton defenders, Paddy Cripps, he was listed to be playing on him for the midfield, and he just couldn't find any value. And when you'd expect, Collingwood's down by 3 goals at 3/4 time, they'll probably come back, all Collingwood fashion. It never came. So
Your prediction did not come true.
no. I do blame BT though, because Jeremy Howe kicked 2 goals in a row, and he's like, "Oh, Collingwood's back in this one," and then it was gone from there on. So I blame,
Not umpire's curse, commentator's curse.
yeah, commentators, because blame BT, Brian Taylor. But no, a lot of good signs from both clubs, honestly. Just yeah, Collingwood's not able to close off this game.
I'll definitely bounce back 100% next week.
Yeah, and I think the upset, so to speak, is going to be a very common theme for every single game this round. I went 1 for 8 in tipping.
Whoa.
One for eight. The only one I got right was Melbourne. So yeah. Carlton winning this one by 17 points in the end. Anything else about this one?
No, nothing else from my end, mate.
All good. Let's move on. Couple of big games coming up. Saturday, the Giants getting over the Bulldogs by 5 points in Ballarat.
Cracking game.
Oh mate, this is the Bulldogs' game to lose. They go in at half time. You know, they're up by 4-5 goals. They get another one at the start of the third as well. You know, up by 5 goals. You would think that they would, they'd be able to close this one out. But that wasn't the case. Third and fourth quarters, Giants just got into it. Toby Green, absolute masterclass. Down 4.
Is he a top 5 player in the league?
I don't see why not. Not at the moment. Yeah. Definitely. Other players, shouting him out. From the Giants, Whitfield had a really, really good game, which is rare, honestly. From him, I feel like he's been up and down for the last couple of years, but he had 9 marks, 36 disposals in this one. Briggs, the ruckman, 24 touches, 7 tackles from the big man, and 27 hitouts. Ganelio, he usually puts all the work in. Same with Kelly, and my man, I've kind of got for my player of the round this week, Sam Taylor, the backman back there, 8 marks. A lot of really, really good intercepts, and he really held the ground down there when it was dire, when they needed to be coming back. Himmelberg was down there too, he's playing really well. But yeah, 15 intercept possessions out of 18. So he, as soon as he saw the Dogs player coming down, he just grabbed that ball and it was out again. So really, really good stuff from him. We'll talk about him later on in the Player of the Week segment. But what are your takes on this game?
My takes on this game is that the Bulldogs should really have a hard look at themselves. They're wasting a list that has so many good, experienced top 10, 20 players. Liberatore, Bontempelli, they've got so many good players, and they're pretty much wasting it. They should be targeting for that top 4 position, but for some reason they just can't. And whether or not a new coach is required, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what your thoughts are on Luke Beveridge, but the Bulldogs do need to improve because they've got the list for it. It's just, what do they need to do to get more dubs onto the board and really target that top 4 position? Because yes, they're an outlier twice in 2016 and 2021, making the grand finals and being outside the top 4. However, it's not really sustainable without being in the top 4. Being in the top 4 gives you a lot more of a chance to make it to the grand final and win the grand final compared to being outside the top 4. GWS, the surprise of the year. Toby Green is their X Factor player, and there doesn't seem to be a player who can shut him down. He is, with probably Charlie Cameron, the best small forward in the comp. And Brent Daniels is up there as well. Brent Daniels is very underrated and is under the radar. Brent Daniels is going fantastically since he returned to the football.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, on Luke Beveridge, he's made a lot of very questionable moves list-wise, which I feel like this might be a sentiment more shared with the media. I don't know if other people kind of agree with this or other players, but the Dogs have a list to be able to compete for top four. It's very comparable to the likes of Brisbane or Melbourne. I dare say on paper better than like Port Adelaide. You know, they're sitting pretty comfy in second. But yeah, week in, week out, we see these close games where, for whatever reason, said guy is dropped or said guy is added in, and it's like, are you sure that's the right move, Bevo? And more often than not, it doesn't work out. So at the moment, they're sitting in 8th. Yeah, just the draw between, basically, yeah, bang between Carlton and Geelong. But it's not looking too flash for them. I'm wondering. It's a big game against Richmond this week.
Very big.
I think
for both clubs.
Yeah, well, I did a little bit of ladder prediction stuff, figuring stuff out. Winner of this game probably makes finals. Just because of the strength of schedules going into the last 3 games after. It's pretty much winner will make finals. Bulldogs have Richmond this week, followed by Hawthorn in Tassie, West Coast, and then Geelong. Geelong, tough, obviously, but almost a little bipolar, right? You have Geelong and Richmond, who are right there in the thick of it, and then you have Hawthorn and West Coast on the other end. They probably expect them to get over the bottom 2 teams, and Geelong's in Geelong. But this is pretty much make or break for the Bulldogs this week, you would think, especially with all the other teams in a similar position. I'll get your thoughts on all that in a second. Richmond, on the other hand, kind of similar. Bulldogs, followed by the Saints, North Melbourne, and then finishing off in Adelaide against the Power. So, once again, 2 very winnable games, and then the last one is tough. Yeah, just this one this week. Yeah, what are your thoughts on those?
It's going to be difficult, especially travelling up to Adelaide for Richmond and travelling all the way to Geelong for the Western Bulldogs. And I wouldn't doubt Hawthorn beating the Dogs up in UTAS as well. Travelling to Tasmania and figuring out the conditions there is quite difficult. So I'd like to point that out as a possible upset game as well. So who knows? It could go either way.
I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, the Hawks only came to 1 point of Richmond a couple of weeks ago, and then almost came back against the Saints, if not for Sam Frost. Oh, I know what I'm angry about now this week.
Yeah.
Sam Frost, buddy. The wrath is coming, but look, I think both teams there. Well, mainly Bulldogs at the moment, but the winner of this game will probably make finals, purely based on who else is there: Sydney, Geelong, Carlton, GWS, pretty much the entire league. Gold Coast,
So West Coast is still on the run.
No. The Hawks losing on the weekend means they're officially out of the race by every single metric. And yeah, North Melbourne and West Coast are obviously out. You wouldn't expect Fremantle to make it either. Unfortunately, they've had a little rough season. We won't talk about that a whole lot today. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, concerning times for the Bulldogs. But anything else you want to touch on for this Dogs and Giants game?
Let's keep it rolling.
Good rivalry, and we'll see the next game when it happens. argue even a bigger upset than that. Fremantle in Geelong take down the Cats by 7 points, 10-11-71, beating 9-10, 64.
I'd like to talk about this game because
Go for it.
Geelong seemed lazy. They were making mistakes that they don't usually do. And watching the Sunday Footy show, they pointed out Zach Tui's effort to defend Lachie Schultz. He just stood there ball watching, and Lachie Schultz just attacked with the ball instead of Zach Tui putting on a block to block his run. And a couple others, like Tom Stewart, one of the top kicks in the league, 4-time All-Australian, makes a couple of mistakes, and whether or not they need to work on their fitness or they're just getting too old is up for debate. Fremantle, good win. Very big upset. Michael Frederick with a fantastic goal. That was a really good goal. But yeah, Fremantle just outplayed the Cats at GMHBA. It was quite a surprise, to be honest. I was expecting Geelong to run away with this quite easily. But Fremantle ended up getting the dub, and Geelong need to have a hard look at themselves as well if they want to back up their premiership from last year.
Definitely. I mean, it's concerning for Geelong as well. You know, you're also like the Dogs. You're right in the race, and you lose a tight one, which you should, in theory, win. But I guess on Fremantle's side, you're keeping your season alive by the skin of your teeth. I guess, yeah, really, really good win. And, you know, you'll probably take the energy into next week as well. Hosting Brisbane, a lot better than playing in Brisbane. Next week, followed by the Derby with West Coast. Then hosting Port Adelaide, another game you'd really love to host. And then coming to Melbourne to play the Hawks. So, honestly, as long as I can get over those two big sides, you know, second and third, Port Adelaide and Brisbane. At home, they have a I'm not saying it's a high chance because there are other teams, you know, in similar positions too, but they have a chance to really push for, you know, finals. Not realistic, but they basically have to win every game here on out.
And you'd have to have other teams lose as well.
Exactly. They're currently 2 wins behind the Bulldogs, who are in 8th. So, I mean, look, 2 wins between 8th and 15th is crazy, but, you know, that's just the level of competition we have this season. So, you think it's possible? Or
No.
we kind of... No? All right.
I've crossed Fremantle out.
Fair enough.
They've been disappointed. Even though they got the dub, they've been a lot more of a failure this year compared to last year, where they were really exciting to watch.
Yeah, and look, I've only crossed out like 4 or 5 clubs so far this year. Fremantle being that 5th, probably. So, yeah. In terms of the actual game, sorry.
Sweet as.
Yeah. In terms of the actual game, though, yeah, I mean, you said it best. Geelong just weren't all there, outplayed. 40% efficiency inside 50. 21 from 52 inside 50s. But, I mean, every single stat, pretty much, it's all in Freo's favour. Besides tackles inside 50 for whatever reason. But, yeah. Hopefully the Cats should bounce back. They've got a very important game hosting Port Adelaide this week. Same
That's
place.
going to be a very, very interesting game.
Yeah, same venue. Even higher stakes now.
A lot of outs for Port Adelaide as well, which we'll get to later.
Yeah, and if you're a Lions supporter, you're basically cheering for Geelong this week in that one too. Yeah.
If Brisbane get a home final, that would be very significant to their run.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Anything else about that one?
No, sir.
Okay. Streamrolling along. Now, if you thought that was an upset, I've got news for you. Um, Gold Coast. Um, at Heritage Bank Stadium, Gold Coast, 15,696, toppling Brisbane, 7-13-55. I was out when this game was happening, and I showed this to a couple of mates, and we just lost it. Like, what on earth? Like, oh wow, okay, Freo wins against Geelong. Okay, wow. Unlucky, you get the Dogs tip wrong against the Giants. Oh well. But Gold Coast, mamma mia, what happened here? Max King at 5 goals. I don't know.
The only three things that come out of this game for me is Lockie Neal. No, it was Dane Zorko and Lockie. No, not Lockie Neal and Tuka Miller.
Tuka Miller, yeah.
The male genitalia incident of the tackle. And the comments that came after that was quite funny.
One of the quotes of all time.
The Gold Coast Lions, a classic Kelly Underwood orange team sort of theme there, and mistaking Charlie Cameron for Charlie Curnow. That was the type of game it was. It was pretty much a joke. Gold Coast getting up against the Lions, and really, I think it was very. I'm very happy for them to finally win a Q Clash because they've lost a lot. They've lost Stewie Dew. They've lost so many things, and now they've kept their hopes alive for finals, and hopefully they can make finals. But even then, if they do make finals, the ramifications of the Stewie Dew incident will be up for question. So, yeah, the Gold Coast Lions did win this game.
They certainly did. I mean, yeah, 58% efficiency inside 50. That's a stat I kind of want to bring up. If you remember from the Cats Freo game, there's like 42 to 40%. 58. That's really good. Like, pretty much nearly every time it goes inside 50, they score. Which they're beating Morse every single stat too. Like, they just outplayed them. I don't know what else to say. Dunkley statistically had an okay game. 10 tackles, 30 touches. McCluggage similar. But yeah, Gold Coast winning against Brisbane.
Gold Coast Lions.
Can't wrap my head around it. So on the Tuka Miller and Zorko thing.
Pretty gay, not gonna lie.
But ignoring one of the quotes of all time from Zorko after the incident. Do you think
there's nothing to come from it?
Nothing. Okay, I was going to say what do you think comes from it, but you think nothing.
It was a tackle that unfortunately his hands went to the nether regions and performed a testicular tackle.
I mean, yeah. Well, there's people saying it looks like there's a deliberate attempt at grabbing down there, but
if it was deliberate, then I'd be considering Tuka Miller's sexuality. No, but jokes aside, I don't think it was intentional.
Fair enough then. Yeah, I think we're more unlocked than anything to talk about that game. So, we'll go to a more serious game where it was a bit closer. Essendon, right at the death of it, just falling short to Sydney. 15,999 to 15,11, 101. Only the 2
really
points
good game
there.
in this one.
Yeah. And Buddy's really last game, we'll get to that later, but Buddy's last game is injured right at the beginning, and well, that was it.
He he's a champion of the game. He'll definitely be a Hall of Famer. He definitely brought you and I a lot of memories at the Hawks and even at the Swans. One of the most athletic forwards to play the game at his height. Doing what he did was insane. But on the game, and unfortunate that he got injured in that little passage of play. I'm very disappointed with the Bombers' forward line. I was expecting a lot more effort from Peter Wright, but you got Kyle Langford, who's about 10 centimeters shorter than the bloke, kicking more goals. And to be fair, Kyle Langford started as a backman at the start of the year.
I was gonna say,
So
like,
yeah,
Langford kicked 5, Wright had 4. Do you think they should have had more?
yes. I feel
Interesting.
like if and yes, he has had his injury that plagued him at the start of the year, and I do think that Peter Wright has some room for improvement. But their forward line's a mess at the moment, and they really need to figure that out. Even their back line, Jordan Ridley being injured. Is it Jordan Ridley? Jordan Ridley who's injured.
Probably. Think so.
I think it's Jordan Ridley who's injured.
Uh,
They've got a lot of outs, and they've got they just don't have the flair.
I'm trying to find it. I think it was Dane Rampy that was injured.
Oh, Dane Rampy's injured as well. So that's on another note, the Amadi party, choo choo, was on fire.
Never do
The
that ever
Amadi
again.
party, the Amadi party was insane. I loved his game. He was my player of that game. Yeah, like you got Chad Warner probably doing what he does best, but I feel like Luke Parker had a bit of a quiet game as well. It could
That's
have gone either way this game.
that's fair enough. I like Essendon were leading for most of it. Then the second half, yeah, it was Sydney's turn, and yeah, they were what's the word? They were coming back. I'm trying to say Essendon, and it just wasn't enough at the end. Yeah, unfortunate, really. But Errol Gulden, really good game with 37 touches, 10 marks. Lloyd, he had 31 and 8. Yeah, a lot of good guys doing the usual thing. I think Errol Gulden, I think he's kind of slipping under the radar too, honestly, for the Swans. Not talked about a whole lot, but he puts up great numbers, puts in the effort every week. He's one of the few Sydney guys, even when they're at the lowest in the season, you could always count on him. Yeah. So, anything else for this one?
The last thing I've got to say for this game is congratulations, buddy, on a fantastic career. He'll probably be the final player to kick 1,000 goals. You'd expect, unless in like 50 years we get another sort of superstar, but I don't really see anyone in the near future kicking 1,000 goals.
I would put an eye on Charlie Curnow. I just put an eye on him because he's
kick 1,000.
He's got what 60 odd now. It's 4 rounds left. He had 10 last week. I think the better Carlton get that build up around him, I think the more chance they have. I think. Oh wow.
I'd like to point out that Charlie Curnow missed about 3 to 4 years of his career.
That's fair. But at the moment, he's putting up numbers like he's pushing for it. Obviously, he's still young and he's not, obviously there yet. But he's getting there one bit by bit.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
If anyone can make 1,000 goals, and I think he's pretty close to it. Actually, he's on like 800 plus goals. Tom Hawkins.
I can actually check this. Well, Tom Hawkins and Rewalt are really close. They're in the 900s, I think. But I don't. Well, Rewalt won't make it. He's probably going to retire end of this year. And yeah, Hawkins.
It's really sad to see all these childhood superstars that we grew up watching finally retire, and now this the new generation is starting to flourish.
Yeah, well, that's just the way it is.
Mm.
But Kurno, 210 goals from 103 games. He's 26 right now.
Mm-mm.
Probably not. Tex, probably too little, too late. Tom Hawkins, though, currently
Mhm.
779.
He could finish with 800 goals at the end of the year.
End of the year for sure.
Mm.
He's 35. He might have another game in him. Oh, sorry, season.
He does have another season in him, but his body's holding up quite well, from what I
Yeah,
know. So he could probably finish with the 850 goals.
I'd love to see him finish with like 900. I think that's a goal
Mm.
for sure. But
Mm.
once again, that's not 1,000. We're still looking for the next
Mm.
one. Yeah.
We'll talk about that one when we get the final messages.
Yeah,
I
or more
reckon.
about Buddy even later
Mm.
on. Uh,
On to Adelaide, Port Adelaide.
yeah, Adelaide, Port Adelaide. And yeah, there's other retirements, I think. We'll talk about the end as well.
Mm.
Yeah, Adelaide, big upset as well. Another one. 16
Mm-hmm.
16, 112 beating Port Adelaide. 9-11, 65 by 47 points, if you don't mind. This, I guess it wasn't close from the beginning. I mean,
Mm.
first quarter maybe, but it's there on as all Adelaide.
Mm.
Very concerning for Port, considering all of Adelaide's injuries and all that. But
Mm.
hey, Crows did it.
It was the Tex Walker show. He kicked 7 goals. The main incident that come out of this game is the Aaliyah headbutt. He's not able to play due to the fact that the AFL have sent Port Adelaide a please explain the way they handled the headbutt due to concussion protocols. And I reckon we should discuss that more with final messages as well. But no, I'd just like to put that down on the table that um, the Leah incident is quite a significant turn of events, and I feel like he played pretty well after the headbutt. So being able to verse Geelong without a major cog in their defence is going to pay pay a lot of consequences with Jeremy Cameron and Tom Hawkins rolling.
Yeah, fair enough. Um, yeah, Tex Walker kind of keeping the Commonwealth interesting in this one too.
Mm,
Um,
yes.
yeah, so 7 goals to him. Um, one more than Kurno. I think now it's sitting at 67 to 61. I mean, Nick Larkey's sitting even further behind by at 50 in third, but
Mm,
6 goals in it.
mm.
Does Tex have a shot, or is this on all Kurnos?
Who did the Crows have in their last 4 games?
In the last 4 games, Gold Coast in Adelaide, Brisbane at the
Mm.
Gabba, hosting Sydney, and then Eagles and Perth. Eagles, probably, maybe. Usually someone
Gold
kicks it.
Coast
Gold Coast, maybe. It's in Adelaide, so probably.
and
Sydney,
Sydney,
Sydney, like
possibly.
usually, I'll say Sydney. Usually, someone kicks a bag. Like
Mm,
Essendon this week is a close game. They had four goals and 5 goals, a couple of plays respectively. Brisbane obviously tougher, and obviously now the state which Adelaide's in, they're going to need to win all the games here on out as well. But
I predicted that Tex Walker will kick 4 goals this weekend. The
right,
week after, with Brisbane, he'll kick 2. Against Sydney, he'll kick 6. and against West Coast, he'll kick 10.
10. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that would leave him with 5, 20, 21, 22 goals
Mm-hmm.
extra. Okay. So that would leave him with what, 82?
Mm-hmm. And I think you'll just miss out on Charlie Kerner. He'll probably kick about 85 to 90.
That's fair enough. I think Carlton's strength of schedule is comparable. So St Kilda, Melbourne, traveling up to the Gold Coast, and then the Giants. It's comparable. Yeah.
But on Port Adelaide, that's 2 losses in a row. Is there raise for concern?
I would, if it wasn't for the fact that one of them was Collingwood, and the other was, basically Adelaide, who they're always going to have tight games. The lot of teams always playing up to the higher, which is good. But this is top 2 spot that they're fighting for. So
home final. So we'll have to see what happens against Geelong at GMHBA.
Yeah, definitely. Just gonna point out this one. I don't know what else there is to say from my end. You've kind of got this one.
Onto the Sunday game.
Yeah.
Games.
Right. Yeah. Let's go into Sunday. We'll leave the best game for last. Don't worry.
Oh yeah.
But Hawthorn St Kilda Marvel Stadium. More into this one. 14,993 to 19,822. St Kilda could not miss. I'm sorry. St Kilda just couldn't miss. 56 points in the first quarter. I think it was like 8-9 goals, without missing for the Saints. Surprisingly,
that's not the St Kilda we know.
No, it wasn't. And I had a friend with me, to this game, and this is not the St Kilda we know. You're seeing something very special. Super high scoring game. The Hawks, they got off to a couple goal lead. And they're slowly coming back into it. I think at the third term break, it was only 2 goals, 11 points. Just wasn't able to close it out. But I guess, before I kind of deep dive into it, do you have anything to note from this?
I'll let you control this one. I've got nothing to say about it.
Fair enough. Well, first of all, I'd like to say that Sam Frost, I've been saying this for a while now, he needs to be delisted. I won't talk about this later, but he basically cost us the entire game. He's being a bit silly. I hope he gets a week for something, because I don't know. But after this, I guess, okay, bit by bit.
He needs a week to get some plastic surgery.
I think he needs to. I think we need someone else back there.
Chad Wingard.
Well, Wingard is okay. But looking at our back line, at the game, we had 4 runners, right? I'm talking about this with the guy as well. It was really weird. We had 4 runners, Sicily and Frost. That was our back line. And then Blank as a medi sub. Seamus Mitchell injured. He came off in the second quarter. But we didn't have much actual defenders, just a lot of runners back there. Which makes it even more interesting when you see that Scrimshaw and Granger Barras dropped for this one. Against the Saints. So, I guess Bruce kicked 6. That's great. He's having a really good year, actually. He
under the radar.
Definitely. I don't know how much longer he's got left.
Another year or 2.
I'm skeptical of 2 years, maybe 1 year. I think his body's still holding out. He was clearly our best player for the day, but yeah. Because look, the Hawks forward line, whenever it went down there, it was liquid gold, right? There were, as soon as anyone out forwards got it, It was always, you knew something was going to happen. Good. But more often than not, Saints get the ball, slingshots all the way around the ground, back, Jack Higgins or someone else goals. And that all came through, Brad Crouch, Higgins, Dan Butler. He had 4 goals to himself too. And Crouch with 3, Higgins, 2 goals, 3. But
Sinclair.
yeah, just the Saints defenders and midfielders, they kind of just ran through us.
The one question I've got for you, Elijah, is how do you see Brandon Ryan's debut?
Really good. Really, really good.
Really good?
Yeah.
Promising?
Very promising. I think did he have 2 goals or just the one? He had the one.
Just the one.
He had a few set shots though, and one of them was a bit more of a setting up one, at least. He could make us think of it like that. One really good goal. He just played a really good role down forward. I would be so disappointed if he's not playing next week or thereafter, because he played really well. Honestly, like one of our top 6-7 players for this game, at least in my opinion. I know I hold guys to certain, I guess, higher expectations than others, but yeah, I really liked this game.
Good.
Yeah.
Maribyrnong boy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I guess other good players from the Hawks. Will Day was good. Wingard had a really good game. MB had a lot of touches of half back, which is okay. James Sicily's a lot more quiet than I'd expect though. And yeah, a lot of not much else from others. Although I did see a couple of times like Will Day or like Dylan Moore, whatever, open options on the other side of the ground. All the Hawks who had to switch from skinny side to fat side, and they didn't do that. So that's probably just this is a young guy thing, because they're not as experienced. They're not looking for those kinds of options. They're looking more down the line. Okay, who's going to be able to take that big mark? I mean, sometimes it worked. A lot of the time it didn't, though. But I guess, yeah, it was good until that 4th quarter. Yeah, especially that 3rd. It was really exciting. So
On to the Melbourne-Richmond game? I
guess so, yeah. I guess finishing up with the Hawks, Saints. Saints played very unexpectedly well. I don't want to put it past the Hawks. They played well too. Just the Saints, they played like they were a top 8 side, which is the first time in a long time. So good for them. But
let's see if they can bring it up against formidable foe.
Well, they'll be in there at the end of this next week anyway, because they're more than a game clear in 5th. But yeah.
Good on the Saints.
Good on them. And another game, which I guess, well, not another game, but it was close until the dying moments when the winning team ran away with it. But Richmond, 15-8-98 to Melbourne, 20-10, 130. It was
Harry Potter, Wingardium Leviosa. Harry Petty, going from defence to forward, has changed Melbourne's forward line. In that game, Harry Petty was 6 goals. A lot of sixes this week.
Yeah, and Roy and Malcolm had 4 each too.
So my statement of Melbourne don't have a forward is probably bust. Now they've got some goal scorers. Yeah, it was very similar to the Hawthorn St Kilda game. It just came down to the last quarter where Melbourne just brought out of the park. Richmond played fantastically, and the super sub in Coltard is doing what super subs do. He kicked a goal, and he should be in the full squad.
Fair enough. I guess as almost the opposite way to get to the 3rd quarter than the Hawks Saints game, whereas the Hawks Saints kind of blew us out in the 1st quarter and was slowly sneaking its way back. Whereas in this one, it was back and forth, but Richmond were leading most of the way. only that third quarter, which the D's finally snatched the lead back, actually. But Richmond, they played well, like really well. Yeah, it's only up to the last quarter and a bit that they kind of dropped the ball a bit. But I guess like Shea Bolton, like only a goal, two behinds, but he still played okay. He had a lot of the ball. Dusty Barton had 3 goals. I know from our Hawks game against Richmond, that's still very scary, even if he's at the latter end of his career. And I guess a couple other players are shouting out. Soldo, fantastic game in the ruck. And yeah, Coulthard.
I love Coulthard.
Yeah,
I'll figure.
he is, and yeah, he had a really good game too. What else you have for this one?
Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince went to work, and yeah, Melbourne have a very strong defense, and I'd be scared to verse them in the final, whether it's top 4 or in the top 8.
Fair enough.
On to the game of the century.
I don't know about the century, but it was certainly a game of all time. West Coast hosting North Melbourne, getting over the line by less than a kick. 72 beating 67.
North Melbourne came back late.
I feel bad for the North fans though. I feel really bad, but yeah, the ball only went one way this game. It was all West Coast and all North, and all West Coast and all North. Was less than a kick shy of that win for North Melbourne. But you watched this one. I'll take it away.
I did watch this one. I watched the second half of it. West Coast playing like an absolute stallion. Defeating North Melbourne by 5 points. North Melbourne came back charging in the last quarter. West Coast ran out of breath, but unfortunately it was to no avail. North Melbourne just couldn't get the chocolates in the end. They were very close to getting chocolate, but West Coast went bang. They finally got a win after 16 consecutive losses, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Good on West Coast. They've recently had another retired superstar in Shannon Hearn, and we expect a couple others to possibly retire at West Coast. Shannon Hearn was a key pillar in their 2018 grand final, being the skipper for a period of time, and was a key cog in their defence, running the ball and having a fantastic right full kick on him. So congratulations on Shannon Hearn on a fantastic career, 300 plus games. A lot of respect for him. He probably went under the radar as well. He was very, very good with born hands. Led the group again to a grand final, and had a very good career. He would feel fulfilled and would have no regrets.
Yeah. Definitely more under the radar players. And yeah, unfortunate the way I guess the last few years have happened for him, but yeah, it's I think it's his time. And he I think retired at the end of the season because unlike Buddy, who's going to be injured, he's calling it now. He'll play out the rest of the game, and as long as he stays not injured, his last game will be against Adelaide in round 24.
Good on him on a stellar career.
Yeah.
On to the power rankings, unless you've got anything else to say.
I guess like for North Melbourne, I still want to put a bit more light on them. Paul Curtis, 4 goals. I thought he had a stellar game. Down forward. Love to see it for North. Nick Larkey needs a bit more confidence as well. I guess he's not really like he had 2 goals today, sure, but he's not quite there, I think.
Mm.
I guess the North Melbourne fans I've spoken to, supporters, they can clearly tell like something's going on with Nick
Mm.
Larkey, and not sure what, but he just needs his confidence back up. And once that happens, I think the forward line will be a bit more potent.
They need the winning spirit running through their blood, because unfortunately they just can't secure a win, and that's very similar to West Coast. They don't have that winning culture, which has resulted in players either leaving or staying and being underperforming, like such as Taron Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that Taron Thomas, he's shown glimpses. He's a fantastic player, very talented, but he is much more capable than what he has produced. And yes, he has had his history with police and his own personal life. But at the end of the day, you're playing AFL, and you've got to be putting in 110%.
Yeah. I guess North Melbourne finishing off the season, Melbourne, Essendon, Richmond, and then going down to Hobart to play Gold Coast.
Tough run.
That last fight is probably most winnable, but it's unfortunate.
Mm,
I guess Aaron Hall will be retiring for North Melbourne end of the season too.
that is true. And Jack Zabel.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
On to the power rankings.
Power rankings. Yes.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Okay. A lot of mix-ups.
Take it away. Take it away.
All right. I'll go from the top. Collingwood staying in first. Melbourne moving up. I think their performance was kind of, the only team up there to actually win. So they can go up, and it was ended up being like they closed the game out well, unlike Brisbane, Port Adelaide, who kind of shut down in that start of the game. They'll come to second. I think the gap's now closing between fourth and fifth now. Carlton making a lot of noise. They'll sneak back up there. Don't know how sustainable it is. I guess it is.
I guess it is. Their ninth position is not for the taking. Will probably be Richmond now.
Yeah, I mean, they play St Kilda this week, followed by Melbourne. And then that's basically the season. So, hey. Giants, I would argue they're higher than Carlton, but we'll keep them lower for now. They're on a 9-game win streak or something like that. So
7.
Yeah, they're playing really well. They've got a good end to the season as well. Sydney, Port Adelaide, Essendon, and then the Blues. So important games for sure. A couple of games which you might not pick them, but they're looking good. Followed by Adelaide Bulldogs rounding out the top 8. And other people probably have Adelaide lower as well, I would think, but too bad, too sad. Gold Coast in 9th. They beat Brisbane. They're in really good form. At the moment, their coach is coaching them really well. And I've heard praise from like the Gold Coast board as well. So, like, they're not at the moment. I don't even think they consider. Like, obviously, they're considering like Damien Hardwick or whatever for next season. But at the moment, no, they're just taking to all guns blazing, and I think they have a chance at maybe making finals.
The ramifications of that, though, will be quite significant due to the sacking of Stewie G.
Of course, yeah, but they're only 1 game out of it at the moment, tied with Essendon and Adelaide, but there's still Cats, Swans, Tigers between those as well and the top 8. So, can they not get past 5-6 teams to make the top 8? I guess we'll see.
What do I say?
Yeah. I'll quickly go over their end of the season too. So Adelaide, Sydney, Carlton, and North Melbourne.
Difficult.
Yeah, difficult because they're traveling for 3 of them. They only play Carlton at home at the Gold Coast. So yeah, Heritage Bank Stadium. Yeah. Moving down the list, would you like to finish that off?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
Geelong and Sydney, they're 9th and 10th on the ladder, but Elijah believes that Gold Coast is better than Geelong and Sydney. So that's also fair enough. They're playing very exciting football. We've also moved Richmond down. Same position but a bit lower. They put up a formidable fight against the D's, but just couldn't get the chocolates there. We've also moved Fremantle up as we deemed them a worthy exponent of that position, beating the Cats of GMHBA. We've moved the Bombers significantly down as they've dropped off a lot in the past couple of weeks. Probably since that Port Adelaide game where Dan Houston kicked the goal. That's probably where they've dropped off. St Kilda, obviously playing like a top 8 team, as Elijah said, but we'd like to see them come up against a formidable foe to really press their case of moving up to the power rankings, even into the top 8. Who's next? Hawthorn again put up a really good fight against the Saints, but the Saints just
because they lost their lower. So
yeah. The Eagles, they're flying higher than ever before. They've gone from 18th to 17th. Whoa. Let's go. And that is just because they bet North Melbourne.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And we'll see if West Coast remain 17th. When they've been 18th for most of the podcast this year.
Yeah, they have. Awesome stuff.
Awesome. Fantastic.
All right, let's get into the predictions for next week. Let's just keep steamrolling ahead.
Oh, yeah.
All right, ready to call out these ones?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Friday night, Bulldogs, Marvel Stadium, hosting Richmond.
Bulldogs.
Yeah, I got Bulldogs too. Richmond's playing okay football. I think they could bring it up to them, but I think at the moment, Marvel Stadium, I probably prefer Bulldogs.
Got to play at the MCG, as Damien Hardwick said.
He's not there anymore, so he can't say that now. Essendon hosting West Coast, also at Marvel.
West Coast. No jokes. Bombers.
Bombers, yeah.
Bombers still get up.
Yeah. Don't talk about that one much. Crows hosting the Suns.
Crows.
Yep. Crows. I don't want to dismiss the Gold Coast's work, but Adelaide in Adelaide, coming off a big win against Port, probably prefer them. Hawks hosting the Pies at the MCG.
The Pies.
Yeah.
I expect them to bounce back.
Yeah. And this is first for 16th.
But to be fair, Hawthorn always put up a really good fight against the Pies. So
they
don't forget that.
They do, yeah. But this is Collingwood. You know, can we shut down Nick Dacos? I can't see where or how we could do that.
Unless frost on him.
I don't want to give him about 200. Chill. I guess one way is maybe throw Will Day back and play him on him, but I don't know who else would. Maybe a
McGuinness.
Jai Newcomb. McGuinness would be a good call, but he's usually the backman. You probably play on like Maya Check or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Next. So Pies for me.
Yeah, same here. Cats GMHBO hosting Port Adelaide.
I've got the Cats.
Yep, I do too.
I have the Cats solely due to the fact that their defense is in shambles after last week's antics.
Fair enough. I think me picking Geelong is more of the fact it's in Geelong. It's a tough travel, and I think Port Adelaide, yeah, they can probably get there, but I wouldn't.
I don't remember seeing Port Adelaide versus Geelong in GMHBA.
I don't either, which is another point, but yeah. Ending off the Saturday games, we have Battle of the Bridge, Giants hosting the Swans.
I've got the Giants.
I've got the Giants too. The Swans are flying though. I will say. Kind of good win at Marvel. But yeah, the Giants. They're also big win streak. So
Mm,
yeah. Toby Green got another 5 goals, maybe. Surely, maybe,
possibly.
possibly.
Himmelberg.
Yeah, him or Burke. Um, okay.
Oh, him.
Yeah. Um,
Here's him.
Sunday.
Next game.
Hobart, North Melbourne hosting Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne. Uh, Marvel Stadium again. There's only one game at the MCG this week. Far out.
Really?
Yeah, that's only Hawks Pies. One,
Hmm.
two, 3 games at
I
Marvel.
think it's because of the Matildas. Maybe.
Why would they play with the MCG? Why wouldn't they play with Marvel?
I don't know. That's what I think. I'm
I
not
mean,
sure.
no offense to the Matildas, but I don't. I feel like the Marvel Stadium capacity would be enough.
Fair
Question mark.
enough.
Actually, that's probably why Collingwood Brisbane's at Marvel maybe around 22, eh?
Mm.
But anyway, let's get going. St Kilda Carlton, Marvel Stadium.
St Kilda Carlton. I've got the Saints.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have Carlton. Kerno's gonna kick another bag. What's the thinking behind the Saints?
I reckon Callum Walkie has the edge against Charlie Curnow.
Huh? Okay. I mean, I guess against the Hawks, he got like 15 marks. Sure.
I've got the Saints. I've got an upset here. I've just got an upset.
Fair enough.
It's the year of unpredictability, Elijah, and I've got an upset here.
Sure, but if every single game last week was an upset, it would be an even bigger upset if you'd expect everything in this week's an upset, and it's not.
Reverse psychology.
Yeah. Anyway, closing off the round,
Last game.
Rio hosting Brisbane at Optus.
I've got the Lions.
I have Dockers.
Fair enough.
You want to explain Brisbane?
I thought Lions will bounce back. Will Ashcroft will be a huge out for the Lions for the rest of the year, but I do expect them to bounce back. I expect Chris Fagan to have a stern word with his teammates and move on to defeat Fremantle.
Fair enough. I think Fremantle at home. I don't know how well Brisbane travel there, because it's an even longer flight than to to Melbourne or Perth to Melbourne. So I don't know how well they're gonna play in this one at all. I looked it up, and last time they played, Fremantle won as well. Fremantle played better then, but I think yeah, at home they're on a roll. They've kind of done the right thing. A couple outs of Brisbane. I have Fremantle.
Fair enough.
All right. That's
Onto our player of the week.
Yes. Who's yours?
Mine was Tex Walker. Really good performance by a 33-year-old man who could possibly win the Coleman medal. He kicked 7 goals and was my forward player of the week as well. Notable mention to Charlie Curnow and Luke Bruce, and Backman turned forward Harry Potter, the Petey Potter.
Fair enough. I have one. Yeah, I talked about it before. A little bit about left pocket.
Taylor.
Sam Taylor from the Giants. Yeah, so he had a really good game down back. A lot of good contested possessions and marks. And yeah, I think slingshotting back off that half back and kind of ending the game when it did. Yeah, very pivotal. So yeah, same shit outs as you. And yeah, so Tex Walker and Sam Taylor. Awesome.
Those were our players of the week. What made us laugh? Well, again, what made me laugh was Kelly Underwood's horrible commentating, the notable historic events of the Gold Coast Lions, and Charlie Curnow playing for the Lions. Also the infamous nut grab, the nutcracker.
Yeah.
Very, very Chad move. Definitely made his move. No, but all jokes aside, even though this is what made us laugh, as my younger brother burps in the kitchen. I was so out of fucking, that was
Well, what made
no, oh
what made
no.
what made me laugh is when your old man came up on the jumbotron at the
Oh,
football, and I'm not forgetting that one, mate.
oh,
I see him, like, hang
oh.
on, that's him. I was going to put my.
Where'd you see him? We're on the ground.
Oh no, he was sitting in the crowd. It's like second, third quarter. I think it was second quarter.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah,
Oh,
it just shows him when during a stoppage of play. It's like, oh, cool.
there's Gareth,
Yeah, there he is. There's his old man.
the big, the
Uh,
big Ranger beard.
yeah, I was going to take a picture, and then they swapped as soon as I pulled my phone out. But hey,
Oh, nothing
there you
much
go.
you can do
I
there.
couldn't take a photo to tag you in on Facebook, so I'll say it now. There you go,
Fair
Jacob.
enough.
There you go, Jacob. All right.
Thanks, Elijah.
Yo,
I need that. I need that minute of fame.
oh mate, it's not for you. It's for your brother.
I know. To my brother.
All right.
What made you angry? You were going on about it before with Frost.
Sam Frost, oh buddy. Okay. So during I think the third quarter, big run, right? I mean, granted, he's been playing poorly all game,
Mm-hmm.
and yep, third quarter, we're playing really well. It's just kicks a couple goals straight, goes behind for whatever reason. The backmen are really like disgruntled, even though we're a couple goals up coming out of half time. And James Sicily, he's just given a free kick. I think it was a high contact, or holding the man or something. Sam Frost walks over, goes, punches him, pushes him over out of nowhere, and turns the ball over for no reason. And from that, Jack Higgins, I think, kicks a goal, and I think was it Brad Crouch or was it Dan Butler? He's the other. That is a goal, and then from that, there's another goes forward immediately right after, and they kick another. So realistically, Hawks should have been up at 3/4 time if not for that.
Frosty definitely turned fiery.
Mate, he threw the entire game for us.
And he is a skipper. On the leadership
He's
group.
in the leadership group. He's because even though we have two leaders back there, so we have Sicily the captain and then Sam Frost, it was very obvious that the backline was the most, I guess, the least organized for the entire game. Whenever it forward, went okay, beautiful. Midfield, yeah, you could point a couple of fingers, but for the most part, we held our own, right? Down back was where all the issues lay, and when you see, a couple of fiery backmen, get into it, that's just threw everything out the window. But that was me.
Sam Frost making Elijah very frustrated.
Hey, it's not the
What
first
made
time
me
either.
angry?
Yeah.
Not the first time, and probably won't be the last.
No, what about you?
What made me angry? I'm gonna put the Aaliyah thing on here because I'm very confused with it. Yes, I understand we must respect this health and safety of players, but it is ultimately the club's decision as to what they think is the right course of action. If I remember, Aaliyah took a different test compared to the other player who got headbutted. I'm not sure who it was. And he was free to play. And then all of a sudden, the AFL has stated that, please explain why you didn't do a concussion protocol. And obviously, if it's not deemed as severe as we think, and yes, obviously doing the safer option is better. But now Aaliyah is out of the side for this week due to the fact that AFL don't want him to play because they don't want his poor head to get hurt. You're here to play AFL and you're going to get hurt. And it's going to be unfortunate when you have a head knock. That means if I dislocate my shoulder in the EDFL this week, I should be free to play next week because it's just an arm. just ahead. Like, I think Elijah should play, and I reckon it'll cost Port Adelaide the game this week due to the fact that the AFL has just stated that he can't play due to concussions when he's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think they're also thinking about adding as another sanction, like Premiership points to the power.
Really?
Taking away Premiership points, yeah, because they're not protecting their players.
Really? But you're playing AFL, you're supposed to put your body on the line.
Yeah, but they're not protecting their players by treating them right. So, I don't know.
What do you do?
We'll find out what that's all about, and in time.
On to our final messages, and I think we're going to discuss the retired players.
Yeah, just quickly, I'll kind of wrap this up in a little bit soon. But yeah. So a few players have already put their hand up to say they're retiring. Shannon Hearn from the Eagles at the end of the season. Jack Zeeble and Aaron Hall from the Kangaroos, also the end of the season, I think. Buddy Franklin, he's gone now. His last game was against the Dons.
Bombers.
Yeah, and then Max Lynch
Lynch.
from the Hawks. 9 concussions throughout his career.
Poor fella.
And yeah, after like 11 games, he's calling it. So unfortunate.
Congratulations to all these players who made it into the AFL system and played a role, whether it was Max Lynch, who was a bit of a comedian through his time in the AFL system. He was definitely a cult figure. Definitely made everyone smile. And to the likes of Lance Franklin, who just turned heads since 2005. Definitely some childhood memories for both of us, like I said earlier. Some other unfortunate players like Aaron Hall with injury, hamstring injuries, and probably being a scapegoat at North Melbourne. He played 103 games at the Suns, so he's eligible for the father-son rule there. Shannon Hearn, again, underrated player for the Eagles, down back. Very big kick. I do remember that one kick in 2012 at the old WA Stadium. I think that was... I forgot the name of that stadium, but it was a lot longer. Got a lot longer. But I remember him kicking a goal from the centre square and thinking, Jesus Christ, this guy's got a booming foot. And Jack Zeeble, the embodiment of the shin boner spirit, always put his body on the line. Very tough, rough player, and he will leave a legacy at that club. And yeah, we expect more retirements to come, but congratulations to those players who played.
Yep, you said it best. Yeah, congratulations to all of them. On their AFL careers, decorated or, I guess, bereft. Anything else? The final comments from you?
No, sir.
Cool. Just should be able to see us similar time next week for the podcast. And yeah, like, subscribe. Twitter's always there, throwing up updates. And yeah.
That is Jakob and Elijah from the Premiership Podcast. Over and out.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
Ciao, ciao.